Вот.
М,
Обычно, если запись стоит, то вот когда у нас платный аккаунт был в Zoom, запись уходила на облако. А у меня, например, сейчас, ну, как бы стоит обычный Zoom, и когда я записываю, это загружается на мой компьютер, и так как он забит, у него память забита, там не
мгм,
помещается все. Так бы я сама записала, в принципе. Вот. Я, ну, как бы не планирую делать прям часовую лекцию, вот.
мгм.
Я, ну, так будет не слишком долго, я надеюсь.
Hello everyone, my name is Riga and my second host here is Nazım and we're hosting the Eco Club in American Corner. Today we're having a meeting about environmental volunteering and this is our last meeting this year. Next year in September we're going to continue having our Eco Club, but today is the last meeting of this year. So I hope it will be exciting and you will all like it. And don't forget to ask the questions in the comments. And yeah.
Yeah, feel free. Like the most stupid question is the one that wasn't asked, as as they say. So I didn't introduce myself. My name is Adina, and I'm here to represent Sostal Decol Environmental Movement or Environmental Public Association. So today, my focus will be the topic of volunteering specifically. I'm not going to cover in details, like in many details, the topic of Sostal Decoy Lakes, because like that's a that's a very complex issue, and there is so much information that is available online already. So today I'm focusing on the volunteering aspect. But of course, you can ask me any question that you have, and I'll try to answer, even if it's about the this Social Decol initiative as a whole, not just volunteering. So first, I'd like to start with a question. How do we usually imagine environmental volunteering? So if you can turn on your microphone and share your associations with this word, with this phrase, this combination of words.
That's a great question, but I don't know how to answer it.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Okay,
I think, I think
uh-huh.
something like doing an eco club in American Corner for me is an environmental volunteering, and also hosting subotnik, like clean event days in Astana, is also something like environmental volunteering for me. But I think there are a lot of types of environmental volunteering that we can do, not only these ones. And I'd like to know what you will share with us today about it.
Great. Exactly. So what you're doing here, like your eco club, is already an environmental volunteering, right? And so yeah. So you're right. Usually, when we think of environmental volunteering, like the people, urban people, like people who live in the city, they imagine like cleaning up the mess that people leave around the city, and also planting trees, right? And this is exactly the image that our city hall is showing in their Instagram. And of course, it is. These images are quite accurate. It is environmental volunteering, but today I'd like to kind of show how different and diverse environmental volunteering can be. So it is more than just these two images. It can be very, very like everyone can volunteer in their own unique way, so to say. All right, so Taldecoy lakes are it's not just one lake. So usually when people talk about Taldecoy, they imagine there is one lake and it must be protected. But if you look at the map, and especially at the older maps, because the shape of the lake is changing, due to obviously the construction works. If you look at older maps, you will see that it's a huge system of lakes, and that's an important fact to be aware of. So it's a huge system of lakes, and it could be kind of divided into two. kind of systems. One huge system of this lake is called Big Taldekol. It's it's a lake that is like bigger in area, but its depth is not so big. And there is a small Taldekol, a system of smaller lakes. So the part of Taldekol that is being destroyed is actually small Taldekol lakes. These smaller lakes are being built over. So construction works are going on there, and they're like for the last 3 or maybe even 4 years, they have been like, covered with ground to allow for construction works. And yeah, so here, small Taldekol is a system of lakes, and it has around 250 species of birds and 90 species of plants inhabiting it. And on the left hand side, you can see the map of the small Taldekol lakes that are being destroyed. Okay. So I'd like to talk about the significance of the lakes, why people are like taking so much time. Like it's been like 3 or maybe 4 years since the movement started. 3 years actually started in 2020. Why are people investing so much time into protecting these lakes? So it's as I said, it's a habitat of so many species, and it's not just like we didn't just count every species and like exaggerating the significance of the lake. Like actually, it's a habitat of I guess 10 rare species of animals, rare species of birds that are included in Krasная книга, in the Red Book. So before 2019, this lake system was included in the list of water bodies that are officially under the protection of the state. So there was a water line that you couldn't like cross and build something, right? They were protected. But in 2019, they were taken out of this list of water bodies, and it made possible all this construction work that started. So another thing that I'd like to say about the significance of the lakes, particularly about the significance of small Taldekol lakes, is that so firstly, I'd like to share the perspective of perspective of the officials, state officials, right, or the construction companies. So they see this bigger lake, Big Taldekol, and they probably assume that the bigger the better, and they decide, let's preserve this big Taldekol lake for what they call eco park or natural park, while the small Taldekol lakes, they're like not so beautiful in shape, they're so scattered around, so let's just destroy them and make a beautiful park for with beautiful buildings around them and sell this real estate for a huge amount of money. But the problem is that things like objects, public spaces like a natural park should not be constructed, should not be realized by just construction workers and state officials. You should invite experts like landscape designers, environmental specialists to do things like that. Because the problem is that if you destroy the small Taldekol lake system, it automatically means that you're destroying the big lake as well, because they are interconnected by groundwater streams. And as you can see on the map, as the small Taldekol is getting smaller, the big Taldekol is shrinking as well. And if you visited the big Taldekol today, it's going to be a very shallow place for obvious reasons. So they didn't consider that. And basically, in the media, you see a lot of misinformation where they are like saying that they are going to create a great natural park around this lake, but actually they're like they do not realize probably that they are destroying the very thing that they are planning to do in the future, to create this park. So this is the Genplan, the plan of the official plan of the state, like of how what kind of things are going to be built in this area. And as you can see, like officially, no one is going to actually preserve the small Taldykoy lakes, and they assume that the big Taldykoy lake is just going to stay there. Like, so the problem is that they have not consulted specialists. They do not know how the water systems and underground water systems work. Yeah, so this is a quote of our specialist from ASBK. It's Association of Conservation and Biodiversity of Kazakhstan. Another thing that I can say about the significance of the lakes is historical significance. Like there's again a lot of misinformation stating that these lakes are just like a product of like too much rain or something like that. But as you can see, on the left-hand side, there is a map that dates back to 1913. And you can see small Taldykoy lake system there. Like it was much more like rich. Like there was more water 100 years ago. And on the right-hand side, you see the Soviet map of this area. And the historical significance of these lakes is that, you know, that in I think you could write a PhD on the historical significance of these lakes, probably. But if we talk about the most tragic events of history of Kazakhstan, is like probably we would think of Ashashliq, the Great Hunger. And you know that the Great Hunger especially affected the central parts of Kazakhstan because like there was very little space to escape to, right? Like people could not escape to another like neighboring country, so to say. And just let's imagine how people survived here in Akmola region, right? Of course, they relied on the food that local nature could provide, right? And obviously, like apparently, these lakes were source of food and water for these people. And we know there are evidence that there were several owls villages next to this next to these lakes, and the evidence is that like there are 3 cemeteries next to small Taldykoy, and one of them is Bashan Zerat, Bashansky Zerat. So this is like on the right hand side, you can see the picture from the plane, taken from the plane. It's like the area of this Zerat. And on the left-hand side, it's just like one particular, tablet of the buried person. So this is actually like, it shows the historical significance of this place. And this could be another site that could help us remember the tragic parts of our history and kind of, respect this memory and pass it on to the next generation. So talking about the significance for people today, not just historical significance, but like you can see that a lot of people come just to walk, go for a walk to small Taldykoy. And like even kids play next to the lakes, and they observe birds, and they can see like the real birds, not just on the video or the pictures of these animals, but like they can have like a very wholesome real life experience of these birds. And there are fishermen and it's like a place for them to, escape the hustle and bustle of the city. And yeah, like it's a great place for recreation. And like I'm actually very amazed or probably shocked by the fact that today, to preserve a place like this, you actually have to say that according to scientific research, nature is good for people. Like, why do we have why do we need scientific research to prove that having a great natural park next to your home is a good thing, right? Isn't a human being a part of nature himself or herself? Like, we are part of the animal kingdom, and just like make a thought experiment. Just lock up a monkey in a room for its entire life. You like, how long do you think the monkey will survive, and how healthy its life gonna be, right? And if you go around this area that is being like where the construction work is going on, like the Rosa Baglanova Street, Tolebi, you will see that the buildings are like built very like closely to each other, and there is almost no place like a normal park there. So I can't imagine how people are going to live there in the future if this lake gets destroyed. So like it's apparent, I guess, for everyone that we human beings just need some time around like natural places to kind of live a healthy life. So so now I'm going to talk about the types of volunteering. So volunteering is like is doing something uh, like from your free will, so to say. I'm not sure I used the correct preposition, but basically, so that's what I wanted to say. And I would like to show you the pictures that I found that kind of represent what people, the community of SOS Poldecol, are doing and have been doing for the last 3 years to, fight for this cause. So on this picture, you can see like the members of our association, the movement, next to the city hall, Akimat, and they are doing this regularly. I'm just like so shocked. How are they not tired or burnt out? It's like they have a great motivation. So they, um, mm, so there is a lawsuit going on against Akimat. The lawsuit that basically like is based on the fact that Akimat illegally took out the water bodies out of the officially protected list of water resources. And yeah, so there are also a lot of talking to officials, like our specialist expert Ruslan, is very uh, familiar with all the akims that were present, like that with a lot of akims, their vice, how to say, заместители, right? So there is a lot of bureaucratic work that must be done, because it's not just about protesting and crying and getting all emotional about the lakes. It's actually like also a work with official state institutions, and these people are doing it. And another thing that like when you have a court case, when you have a lawsuit against when you make a lawsuit against someone, you have to gather evidence, right? Even if everyone is seeing with their own eyes that like construction companies are destroying the lakes, you cannot just like base your lawsuit on your words, right? You have to gather evidence. And volunteers, everyone who was like at some point involved, they took photos of what they saw was happening around the lakes, and they were sending it to the lawyer Shungus. And so on the left picture, you can see the lake being, covered with garbage. It's like construction garbage, and they use it to, like cover the water. And on the right, you can see a water pump, which they use to take the water out of the pump the water out of the lake, so that like it helps to like create a flat ground for construction work, and it also like something that they do in order to say that the lakes are drying out by themselves and they're not going to survive, so it's not worth fighting for them. And like there was a situation when um, my fellow volunteers and we went to photograph these water pumps at night, because like when the people came during the day asking this like workers if they had permission to use this water pump and so on, they just left, they stopped. But then it turned out that they're coming at night to use this water pump, and we had to prove that to the judge in the court. And we went there at night, and it was like, for me it was just another adventure that I have due to these lakes, but it turns out that like it was quite dangerous, because at night like construction work, like buildings, right? This all these residential buildings in Astana, any construction work involves a lot of money, right? And sometimes people, of course, construction companies are not happy about our work, and there could be even some aggressive people. And when we went there at night, there was a man following us in his car and like saying mean things to us and like threatening that he's going to call the police and that we're doing something wrong. And all we were doing is just like taking photos of this thing. So it was quite not as safe as we thought. So what else? What type of volunteering? So cleanup events, they're great. Some people say that cleanup is useless because like the lakes, they're surrounded by the like I'm going to show you the picture of, I hope I have it. No, I don't. Okay, so a lot of people think that cleanups, they even write in the comments on our page, on Solstal.code page, that cleanups are useless. Like, why are you wasting your time? Because every day construction garbage is brought to the site of the lakes, and there are just piles and piles of this trash. And the thing that these people don't understand is that we're not doing cleanup for cleaning the garbage at all. Cleanup events are for community building, for people to, express their solidarity with the cause, and to share the news about what's going on with the lawsuit, like share some recent news. And it's about also demonstrating publicly to the state officials that a lot of people are coming to these cleanup events, and this space is important for people. So it's not only about cleaning up stuff, because yeah, it is partially about cleaning up stuff, because like sometimes you can find a lot of bottles, plastic bottles, glass bottles from vodka, and you can actually send it to this Clean City organization and they recycle it. But yeah, it's basically for community building. So another thing that is done is done regularly, yeah. So it's bird watching. It is a great pastime. Actually, like if you know, in the UK, like UK has one of the hugest bird watching communities in the world. And I hope that we will have also like a very big bird watching community here in Astana. And it's a very interesting thing to do. And also it's also some kind of volunteering, right? Because like the Ruslan, our ornithologist who organizes and organizes these bird watching events, he actually shows people allows how to say, bird watching allows people to see, have a first-hand experience of this like nature, and to actually see the birds, these rare birds that come. And like before I attended this bird watching events, I didn't actually know the difference between the birds, and I didn't even notice them. But when you start learning about something, you start noticing it everywhere. And after this bird watching events, I started recognizing more species of birds, and it's like it makes your life richer, and like it changes the perspective. You perceive the world, the city in a different way. So this is another type of volunteering. So this is the DIY ice skating rink that people were doing to, it's also a way of making this lake visible in winter, because winter is like the most critical time of year for us, because like in winter you can't go out for a long walks. You will get frozen. And we just made ice skating rinks in order to attract skaters and to show that this place is visited by people even in the winter time. So the runners community of Astana also expressed their kind of interest in like supporting Solstal cause. And yeah, as you can see, like Marat Jalambayev, famous like marathoner, you could say. So there are also like campaigns like flash mobbing, right? We call them hug the lake. So this one was aimed at showing how big the lake is. So art community, like artists, all kinds of artists. Like I just found a few pictures, but there were more artists like creating some kind of interesting events around the lake. So this performance is called Baksa Sarana, and like the artist Ashat Ahmedyarov, he is like wearing the shaman's clothes, and he's trying to stop literally the truck that is like carrying the ground for destroying the destruction of lakes. Musicians, like a lot of musicians, again, like I don't have all the photos, but they attended, like they helped to spread, raise awareness to make this lake more visible by singing, making this like small video clips next to the lakes, and creating music videos on this site. So that was great. Like sanctioned public demonstrations, people who live next to Toldokoy lakes. And also there was in August last year, there was a sanctioned public demonstration next to the circus of Astana. Like, so people, these are all volunteers, right? These people didn't have to come, but they felt that they need to. And yeah. So this one is another like kind of performance, you could say. It's just like we used flamingos to congratulate our Akim sitting in the city hall with 2022. So, and this is the photo of the member of our public association, Miruert. She lives in one of the buildings next to Small Decoy Lakes, and she has a telescope. So she regularly makes these photos of what is happening on the lakes. And like this is a great resource for staying keeping track of what is happening there. And like she takes photos of if something like some accident or some crucial events are taking place in this area. So these are just like artsy photographs with a message, trying to convey the importance and the value of these lakes. It's like, so we have this Baitirek, right? Myth centered around the like a great legendary bird, right? And generally in our culture, birds have a great significance, right? Do you remember this pritsha, right? This fable, or how you call it in English. So there was a fairy tale about Karlagash, right? The bird of happiness, and that if it's building a nest around your or next to your shanrak, it means that your home is going to be like, you know, to be happy, right? So everyone in your home is going to be happy, and it's just like symbolically, it's a huge tragedy that the habitat of so many species of birds and rare birds is being destroyed. So this is a snapshot picture of the drone video. So we, you know, this Dimash's version of this French song. It's called Earthling in Distress. So we made a video in which we kind of like sending the SOS signal to the world. Like, I wouldn't say it got a lot of attention, but like part of the volunteering is to make this kind of videos, content, right? Educating your friends on your personal like page probably about what is going on, right? And yeah, and making these videos and talking about this takes a lot of time. It's like, it looks easy when you talk about it in presentation, but all of these things that I mentioned, they're done by people who just like, who know they're right, and they want to fight, want to work for what is right. And they have their jobs, their families, their kids. And this, behind all this things that I mentioned, is a lot of like investment of their free time. Because like even to edit a video takes like 1 minute video could take hours, right? You know that probably. Okay, so I just gave you a huge list of types of volunteering, probably. I could say that. Potential of volunteering. You now can ask me questions about like what I've talked about, and also you can ask questions about the challenges, because I didn't like specifically, you know, make a text of list of challenges, so you can ask any questions about that. Okay, anyone?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Oh, yeah. So how do I get started with the volunteering if I'm interested?
I personally. So the movement started in 2020, but I joined it in 2021, and it existed for a year until I paid attention to it. So like it all started with my, you know, many people during the pandemic had like a huge kind of re-evaluation of their life priorities and probably some existential crisis. And also a lot of people like got tired of sitting staying in the city. And like I also had this like little existential crisis, and I also couldn't afford to go anywhere like to travel. So I just wanted to go somewhere where like it's not just like, you know, a fake park. I wanted to go somewhere near Astana where I can like, you know, observe the wild places, so to say. And I came here and I met some volunteers, other volunteers who have been volunteering for a year already. And basically, I got kind of sucked into this movement by the fact that I made really good friends. And like, probably if it wasn't for them, If it weren't for them, I wouldn't be talking to you right now. Like I'm a typical urban person who is like comfortable sitting 24/7 at home and never like properly working out or going outside for a run. So I'm like this was a life-changing experience for me, and yeah, like my perspective on this city, on the on like how things work in the in our city, like I I opened a lot of, how to say, I learned a lot during this volunteering experiences. Yeah.
I want to ask, what are the top 3 things that you've learned during this volunteering? Maybe some things that you very appreciate having, like top 3 or 4. I don't know how many you have.
Okay, so top 3 or 4. So the first one, I would say probably that volunteering, like if you kind of, decipher this word, it has like the root vol or will, voля. So you need to have your own like free will to do things. What am I trying to say is that like when I joined this, like when I started hanging out with like this social d'école people, like I expected that there are kind of like things that should be done, and someone is going to tell me what to do. I'm going to help to do those things, right? And we're going to win. So I had a very simplistic view of how it works. But oftentimes, like it works like that. I have an idea, I want to do something. And I didn't realize that I need to, really make some long-term personal investment to realize the ideas that I've come up with, like, because like in volunteering, especially in this, like around social d'école, there isn't any lack of ideas, right? There isn't any lack of ideas of what to do. There is lack of resources, like emotional, mental, and human resources to execute these ideas. And like if I came up with an idea, for example, to make a video, I could spend months not doing it because for a video you must go to these lakes, make the videos, or find someone who makes good videos, and then you have to edit and think through the like order of the shots, and also like so it's a lot of work. And it's like for me the most insightful thing is that probably if you want to kind of volunteer, the easiest way probably would be just to inform your circle of friends and family about the things that are going on, just sharing the news with them, or just attending this cleanup events. But if you want to do something that would to you seem more significant, it actually takes a lot of your energy and like time investment and personal power. So like no one is going to tell you what to do, and it is your kind of responsibility uh, to do something and find people who will help you to do it, like if you have a plan, something like that. And another thing, I actually have a lot of takeaways from this experience. I'd probably write a really, really boring book about it. But anyway, so another thing is that, of course, it's your personal responsibility. You should understand that you have to like execute things that you want to do to help the cause. But another thing that you must be aware of is that in the context of Kazakhstan, it is like easy to kind of so we don't have a rich history of environmental movements, right? We don't have a society in which environmental like fighting for an environmental cause is a socially approved common thing, right? And when you're planning to do something for this cause, you should be aware that you are seen by the public as a representative of the movement. And if you're planning to do something provocative or something, outrageous to attract the public attention to this problem, you must also think about the consequences. Because if you do something illegal or something so outrageous that people will be judgmental about it, you might discredit the entire movement and kind of, negatively influence its reputation. And there are already a lot of misinformation. There is already a lot of misinformation and defamation going on, like where people say that this people who are kind of eco activists, they are like paid by someone to do it. So they're not doing this just like for the right reasons. They're bought off by someone. It's like some kind of intrigues between the construction companies. They're trying to, um, win this, take this land for their own projects and something like that. So, like, you have to think about the consequences and that you are part of the bigger community. Yeah.
Good afternoon. Thank you for your attention and taking part in solving this problem. But I have a question. What was the most difficult part in struggling to convince people that we have a problem, or to fight with local authorities to convince them that it's the problem?
Mm-hmm. I think like I'm just one. I'm here like just one of many volunteers that participated in this cause of Sostal Dukoy, right? And for me personally, it is difficult to generalize which obstacle is the most like challenging, right? But I would say like so in order to understand the problem, usually we should ask at least why questions. So why is this why are the lakes being destroyed? Because of the construction companies. Why are the construction companies doing it? Because they were allowed by the state, right, officially to do it. Why did the state officials allow this to happen? And it all comes down in the end to the public opinion, right? So I would say it's just like my personal like view is that the most difficult thing is that public opinion is a very like how to say it has a tendency for inertia. It's very difficult it's a very difficult thing to change what most of the people think and how they perceive the problem, right? And also there is a phenomenon when you hear something on the news, you kind of like even subconsciously believe that it's true. And since there was a lot of misinformation that like this flamingos and other birds were brought here, and these are just like not real local birds, like a lot of people still believe that they haven't never visited the lakes, and they still believe that it's just a smelly place that must be destroyed. And of course, like in the fact that we have this movement in itself in Astana, in the city of glass and concrete buildings, it's a success actually. But of course, we want more. We want some tangible results, right? And I think the most difficult thing is that like like even one person changes very like even for one person it is difficult to change, right? What can we say about like community, right? It's a great historical process, and a lot of people believe that oh, social l'école movement is kind of, it failed, it's unsuccessful because they already destroyed a huge part of the lake system. But these people do not realize that this is not only about saving this particular lake. It is about a bigger thing. It's about, fighting for every citizen's right for a healthy environment. It's about fighting for every person's right for access to nature in the city, to be healthy, right? So it's a long-term movement, and we are planning to, become like a very, how to say, impactful organization, impactful entity in the future.
Thank you for your answer, and I wish good luck to you to make your wishes to come true. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. So yeah, like human resources, emotional, mental resources, like a lot of the things that are like necessary for this kind of things to, move on, for this kind of movements to keep doing what they're doing. And yeah, it's like basic things, like we have a friend who always drives us if we need to do something around the lakes. There is like my another friend, she does this social media stuff in her free time. She has a full-time job, but that she does this, like, publishes this announcements about the cleanups. There is there are businesses that provide their spaces for free for our meetings, right? So, like there is a flower shop called Japrak, and they have a beautiful like space, and we have meetings there sometimes. Mungber Önyer, like other cafes, like Happy Cake. So, like actually, this kind of movement is about community building. It's like making this people living in the city interconnected for some good cause.
Anyone else has a question? Leah, I think you want to say something.
Yeah.
Can I ask you again? I have one more question.
Yeah.
Do you think it's possible to change our people mindset to involve them more in such kind of events, or just to change the mind that we really need such kind of lakes to be in the city, not only for the beauty, but for our, as you said, for our future health and our how to say it right, just for our good well-being. So do you think that it's possible to change the mindset? And if yes, how much time do we need? Just your opinion. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. So I think it's like a lifelong process, and it's not going to happen quickly, but like we have all the potential to kind of have environmentally friendly culture. So if we kind of the most common example, like when we talk about environmental movements, we usually refer to the Western countries, and that's not the best thing to do today, because like it's considered to be kind of post-colonial and so on. But I'd like to talk about the example of probably the US. I can't say I know a lot about environmental history of the US, but I know that like it didn't happen like from like, it didn't just happen that they have like the this national parks, and it didn't come easy for them. So if you study their environmental history, you will probably learn about thousands of stories like this, where local people just claimed their rights for the land that they are living next to. And it's a long historical process that lasted since the foundation of the American state. And our state is quite young. Of course, we want to live in the developed country, and we want to live and we want to see the best living conditions in our country during our lifetime. But let's look at the environmental history of Kazakhstan. Like our So I probably the most like our history could start from the construction of railways on in our steppes, and then like the Soviets came, and there was like um, mass starvation, right? And a lot of animals like cattle died, right? This is all affects our environment. Then we have the shrinking of Aral Sea, and we have like nuclear test sites. So our country is a live exhibition of all kinds of environmental disasters. And with a history like that, you cannot expect people to suddenly start thinking that destroying natural lakes in your city is not normal. We're kind of comfortable. We're used to living with the idea that not only the nature doesn't matter, but in general, human life has little value in our country, right? It's very easy to, die in our country. So, like, it's
True.
a it's a lifelong commitment if you want to change mindset of the people around you, and it of course starts with really deeply reflecting on these things by yourself and changing your own mind first of all.
Thank you. So don't you think that, as I understood, we can change our mindset through our young people, right? And do you think that it's possible to add an elective subject at schools like ecology, not only in the universities, but maybe at schools, that we can change in the mindset of people in more wider way? Like we can start from schools, and maybe children will understand the situation they will see because they live in this city, and they will understand the present situation, right? The current situation. So what as volunteers we can do more? We can create eco clubs, right? But do you think that it's more productive to start with schools? Because I'm a teacher, and I think that we should educate our children ecology at schools. So what do you think? Is
I
it
want
really
to
helpful?
answer this question as an 11th grader. Well, I think almost every subject is not nowadays connected with ecology somehow.
Yeah.
Yes, mostly. No, I mean geography. I mean the books already have the material about ecology. Like we have Russian and literature, and we have like specific topics about ecology and how literature is connected with that. So we read about Olzhas Seremenov and how he had this project in semi-politics,
Yeah.
or in geography about Aral Sea and other things. So every subject is trying to focus on ecology in Kazakhstan, but so that's why I think we have this thing in schools system that they're trying to educate us about environmental disasters that are happening, but I think that we still have to be more active, like creating eco clubs, trying to participate in protests, or at least share information about it, because most people are just silent and they think that it is not
Yes.
their problem. Yeah, so we have to do something like that in schools, so that they could tell things, free mind, free will, something like this. Yeah, volunteering projects in school too.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah, so Korean, right, is your name?
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, I agree with Derigam that like the subjects like that already like exist. So your question was also about the effectiveness, right? Like how can
Yes,
we
because it's
like,
not enough.
make
We
more
have some,
impact?
I'm sorry, because we have some parts only in different subjects, but as all, we don't have ecology as a subject. And so if you're not inspired your children or your students that we have these problems because they live in the city, and if it be more proficient, it would be more productive if they live in the city and they see the current situation. So they see the truth, they see the reality, not just, oh, it happened 10 or 20 years ago, so it doesn't matter right now. But if they have still this subject at schools, like an elective course, for example, one time in 2 weeks or a week, maybe they would be more interested in this. So that was I was talking about.
Actually, what you're saying does make sense, but I think it's like it's not about introduction of a new subject. It's just about like we need more teachers to actually care about this. Like we need more brave teachers who can like negotiate with the parents and take out a class to Taldekoi Lakes, for example, to show kids like to let them see with their actual like eyes of what's going on and how beautiful the lakes are, right? So and we just need more teachers who care genuinely, and they express their care for the real life like issues that we're having in our community. We need more officials that care about the environment, because we have Ministry of the Environment, but somehow it's kind of powerless when it comes to the business that is building over these lakes, right? So people who actually care, who actually research information about this, who understand what's going on and are ready to do something about it. So we need more people, I think, not new subjects, not new like, you know, programs. Although, yeah, we probably need more programs that help this cause. I would probably say about universities. I graduated from Nazarbayev University, and I know that we have like biology department that lacks the botanical section. So that's actually like partly I can't talk for talk about schools, but at Nazarbayev University, which is like the international university that we look up to, like the best university in the country, it doesn't have a lot of, you know, projects in the sphere of the environmental problems related to water, right? And we have a huge water crisis in our country. And it's weird why they focus only on medicine and human anatomy subjects and not on the ecosystem. Like, yeah, we have some institutional issues in our education system, I think, that must be changed. And yeah.
So we have 5 more minutes. If you have any questions, you can ask. Or yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to ask a question. Sorry about my voice, I'm a little bit sick. Are there any like innovative technologies or sustainable practices that can help restore and protect lakes?
Yes, there are ways of restoring the lakes. One of the techniques that I know of, and I learned about it from the experts who are involved in the Sostol movement. It's called in Russian снегозадержание. It's basically when you use the winter precipitation and gather it on the place of the lake and use this winter precipitation to restore. And it actually already worked in there is a village next to Astana where this technique was used to make to restore a small lake. And there are actually the thing that must be done and that we probably should start searching for funding and to, you know, crowdsourcing for this. We need to find a team or create a team of professionals, experts, specialists in landscape architecture, environment, water, what's it called? Like people who actually understand the water lake ecosystems, and they must make they must do a research and create a plan of what can be done to restore these lakes actually. So again, it comes down to human resources, financial resources, and time resources. And it's a huge project because, like, of course, we have experts working, like representing Akimat, who are saying that these lakes are just, it's useless to preserve them. They're already dead almost. But like, can we be sure about can we trust what they're saying if they're like invited by the state officials, right? They're not independent experts, and we need independent expertise to actually like make a feasible and environmentally correct plan for a natural park on this around these lakes.
Thank you for answering that question. That was really informative. And also, I like the idea of creating separated, like a commission of the group of people that are not going to be connected to the government. I'm pretty sure we are going to need those group of people for different varieties of our departments, because there's no transparency between the departments, and a lot of companies do not provide evidence of their work, which kind of creates a huge problem, especially companies and manufacturers that pollute our lakes and destroy our lakes. They're hiding the really important information from the people, from the departments as well, and they're not willing to contribute that information in order to preserve our nature. And as we can see, as example, what happens to Taltecol, not only to Taltecol in Avbulak Lake, because 10 years ago when I was a kid, I used to go fishing there, but nowadays I wouldn't do it because the water is so polluted. And also when I look to Yunu every most of the days, I see the color change in the lake because I don't know, like there's a little manufactory a few blocks away from here, and I think just dissolve their pollutants in the water, and the lake of the and the color of the lake is keep changing from brown to green and green to brown. So
Yeah.
I totally support your idea of creating independent authorities for making great contribution for eco people just like us. And thank you very much for presenting this information for us. So I always keep telling my friends about ecology and eco movement. So just to spread the information in a good way, because there's like a stigma going around the society, like, oh, those eco activists, they're crazy. It's like, no, we're not crazy. We're just people who really care about our nature, and I'm trying to explain them the way and the consequence of polluting and destroying our nature that will affect us in the future, because the air pollution is a problem here too in Astana and Almaty, same thing as Aktau. So thank you very much again for
Yeah, you're welcome, and thanks a lot for listening so carefully and asking so many good questions. Yeah.
My pleasure. Thank you.
So thank you so much, Adeena. This was a very informative presentation. I really, really loved it and learned a lot, and I hope that others learned it too. I hope that the recording will be saved, and I will try to post it on the YouTube and share the link with everyone. So thank you everyone for participating. This is our last meeting, so it feels really sad. Yeah, have a good day, have a good evening. Goodbye.
Thank you. Thank you
Goodbye,
to everyone.
Thank you, goodbye.